Intersection Magazine Podcast.
Welcome to Intersection Magazine Podcast. This week I'm interested in sharing some ideas that I came across after some thought. I suppose in this month of August I celebrate my birthday, so I thought maybe it would be useful to share some thoughts in terms of what I've learned. Hopefully some of you might pick a nugget or two out of these experiences. As a side note, I was celebrating my birthday for a long time on one date, and then when I grew up, I changed that after some different information. But I suppose I lie between, for those of you who are interested in stars, I lie between a Virgo and a Leo. I'm no expert with stars, and some of you who are of the faith may argue that it's not wise to think about stars or planets or live your life around those kinds of things. I agree, but I do have an opinion that the Magi, those who found Jesus when he was a little boy, or when he was born, would not have found him had they not used the planets and the stars. And the Bible does say that the heavens declare the glory of God. So sometimes his messages, not sometimes, but or very often his messages are actually hidden in the stars. Anyhow, so those of you who are interested in knowing a little bit more about me, I do lie between a Leo and a Virgo. Anyhow, a few thoughts that I would share. These thoughts are inspired by someone who I would love to have on the podcast one of these days. He writes or he publishes about finance. He's very good at what he does. But I've been struggling to get him on the show. What I have done, though, is I have managed to go through his Facebook account to read his insights. And I printed a few of those insights for the purpose of sharing them with you as my listeners. Now, while I was preparing to do that podcast, it occurred to me that I too have some things that I could share. I've lived quite a long time, quite a number of experiences. I've lived in about three, four countries, with all sorts of people in all sorts of situations. So I do have some wisdom I can share. So that's the purpose of this podcast. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for listening. So if you're going to talk about a theme or an idea behind this podcast, it's going to be something that we like to use here in my country or in my tribe. It's the belief in the unseen or in the gods or in mentorship, in the blessing that may come from the older people. And sometimes it can be misunderstood in different cultures, but we have an expression when someone is anointed to take over a position, a great position after another. We call it okumuandako edusu. It literally means to be spat on. But it's actually a blessing when someone older. We speak about how someone older can bless you with to take over their position after they're gone, and it's called okuandako edusu. And at the heart of that saying is the belief that that person has trusted you, that they believe in you, that they've watched you, that they've nurtured you, and they now trust you to take up that leadership position. But I'm stretching that a little bit by saying that It's important in your life to make sure that you understand the value of those things which are unseen. And by unseen, we may be referring to spirits, we may be referring to ancestors, we may be referring to attitudes, because those two are things which are unseen. Although some attitudes can be seen. If you have a bad attitude, it may be expressed through your face or facial expressions. If you're angry, it may be expressed, but that's an emotion. An attitude is slightly different. Anyhow, so what I'll do is I'll present you some ideas or some thoughts that came into my mind as I was preparing this, with the hope that you will benefit from these ideas as I have. Some of them came randomly, others were appeared as I read through other people's thoughts. So the first one is understanding the influence of the unseen on the seen. Don't underestimate your activity, your thoughts and attitudes. They do have an effect. We carry atmospheres, and these are often preceded by words. This is why you cannot expect to get on well with someone after you have spoken evil of them. Your prosperity is not always entirely up to you. Sometimes the gods do spit on men. You will be tempted after you've made some progress to think it was because you put in the hours, paid the price, or developed great habits. But life is made up of many other unknowns. Be humble and accept the blessing of the gods, whether you believe in them or not. If you can avoid borrowing, it makes you a servant of those who have lent you the money. So please avoid borrowing. But if you must, pay back promptly. It will endear you to those who you have borrowed from and open you up to a vast number of opportunities. Besides, when you borrow from someone, especially if the person thinks of you as probably on a higher level, it will make you seem more open, more free, less on a pedestal if they've placed you on one, because they will understand that you too have times when you lack. But as I've said before, pay back promptly. There are many times to show, or rather many ways to show your vulnerability, but be cautious with this. Being vulnerable is not the same as being weak. Know the difference. Be open, not naive. When you're open, you will see and understand the world in a whole new way. There are no two people on this planet that are alike. Someone once said that there are two types of loneliness: the loneliness of existence and the loneliness of experience. This should teach you that you can learn from others by picking pieces here and there from their lives, from their complex lives. But because your experience differs from others, so will your lessons. The best you can therefore do is learn from the principles that they have followed or that govern the world in which we live, and do your best to live by these principles. Nothing that has any value costs nothing. If you learn this, you will have a more gracious and more thankful attitude. And this appreciation will endear you to many people. This attitude of gratitude will give you a sense of wholeness when you understand that effort equals altitude. You have to cultivate true appreciation of who you are and what you bring to the table. There is a difference between being tolerated and being celebrated. I learned this from a preacher almost 20 years ago. If your value is not being recognized, you're doing something wrong, or you're in the wrong crowd. Nothing is more draining and giving and giving and giving and understanding or realizing that you're not being appreciated. That does not mean that you have to give money all the time, but sometimes it's giving of yourself, your ideas, your experiences, your wisdom. Very few quality products are mass-produced. You may have to learn to live in solitude. If you're going to stand out and lead, stop trying to be understood by everybody. Only the potter understands why some of his works have to stay hidden longer than others. The time of display is different for everyone. Don't get frustrated that you are not under the spotlight. Your time will come. Sometimes that light reveals things that you may be ill-prepared to handle, so please wait. Entrepreneurship is a buzzword and it's very tempting, but it's not for everyone. You need to be in a position where you can safely cater for yourself in retirement. This is what a regular job offers. It forces you to save a set amount of money until you retire. It's boring, but it's effective. If you live long enough and you plan well, you can always start a side hustle as you work, or retire into a life of maybe agriculture on a large farm. Besides, work brings you a schedule, and the schedule gives you discipline. Thank you.
Intersection Magazine Podcast.